Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks so much for joining us this evening. Please be seated. And while you've been waiting for us, I trust you've enjoyed the beautiful art of the Squamish Nation displayed tonight. And Friday is the date in which we raise the flag in support of Truth and Reconciliation. And it will be at 9 a.m. and I would encourage as many members of council and the public to be there. I have to apologize. I want to be there, but it is also the Metro Vancouver board meeting, and we have some rather large items on the agenda which I must attend on the community's behalf. So just before we begin, and I'll call the meeting to order, and if I may, and then a couple of things I'd like to highlight. And the first is we're really pleased to announce that on Thursday, October 3rd, we will be reopening the 3 resurfaced tennis courts in the Ambleside Park. And following that, we'll be cutting the ribbon to officially open the 4 brand new pickleball courts located at the south end of the Spirit Trail. This will be at 12 noon for the tennis courts, and then we'll walk over to the pickleball courts, and we would encourage everybody to come. If you play pickleball, wear the gear, rain or shine, and that's going to be pretty fun. Now, there has been an item that has received considerable community attention, some of which I think is incredibly unfair, regarding the sale of district-owned property at 3000 Park Lane. And the discussion regarding that disposition have been held, most of the discussions regarding that have been held in closed session in accordance with the community charter, section 90 sub 1 sub E. I understand from staff that a revised proposal has been received and that they are preparing a detailed report which will be made public for the October 7th agenda. And we would respectfully request that the public questions and comments be held until that meeting. And I would like to say in the clearest possible terms that I do not know, as friends or even acquaintances, the purchasers of this property, and I am highly offended by what I have read in the media, and I have asked the North Shore News for a public retraction and apology. They have declined so far to do that, and if they continue to decline, we'll look at some other opportunities to address that. So, with that, could I have a motion to approve the agenda? Any member of council wish to approve the agenda? Councillor Snyder, seconded by Councillor Watt. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. And we now have a delegation from 2 highly engaged and intelligent young people in our community, and I would invite these 2 brothers to come and address council. Gentlemen? And stay tuned, because these guys are pretty sharp. You're ready to go, gentlemen.
Sounds good. Okay, cool. Esteemed Mayor and councillors and panel and everyone in attendance, we just wanted to firstly thank you on behalf of Youth in Canada for this absolutely incredible opportunity to speak with you guys today. Our names are Jason and Jerry Song, and save all you guys from the struggle of guessing who is who, I'm the better looking one, so my name is Jerry and that is Jason. And we're here today to speak about an issue that we, alongside so many youth, are so passionate about, which is lowering the voting age down to 16 years old. To be more concise and clear, we'll speak on 3 different segments of our speech today. Firstly, we'll talk about how we sort of got started with this idea to begin with, and the importance to increase youth engagement in Canadian politics as a whole. Secondly, we'll speak about more of the reasoning as to why we think the voting age should be lowered down to 16. And lastly, we'll speak on what we request from this amazing West Vancouver City Council of making the dream of millions across Canada into a tangible reality. So firstly, how do we really get involved with this issue? Yeah, so Jason and I are grade 12 students here on the North Shore, and we're really passionate about politics, but also community service. And through volunteering at our local MP's office, we saw firsthand how policies crafted on Parliament Hill directly impacts the lives of every single Canadian, especially youth like us. And this really got us thinking, why aren't more young people engaged in politics? And why aren't there more young voices at the table? And this led us to launch our very own podcast, Twin Talk Politics. I take full credit for that name. I know it's very amazing. It's twins talking about politics. But overall, we've interviewed more than 20 MPs across 4 different political parties and across 5 different provinces. And a question that we ask throughout all our interviews is, how can the youth become more engaged in politics? And a common response we've constantly seen again and again is to lower the voting age down to 16 years old. And inspired by this, we have partnered with the national Vote 16 movement, and obviously we're here today to advocate for a more inclusive and youth-engaged democracy. Before we dive in as to the reasons as to why it is so important to have youth engagement, we just really wanted to stress that it's just not the two of us here pushing for this motion, but it's everyone here today. Over the past couple of months, Jerry and I have worked so hard, and we've gathered nearly 300 signatures from our community members, from youth to adults, to community members and community leaders here in West Vancouver. We've also received support from our MP Patrick Weiler, MLA Karen Kirkpatrick, and local candidates like Ms. Eftekar and Mr. Valeriot, Ms. Block, as well as community organizations, as well as members of the Vote 16 national campaign joining us on WebEx here today. Support for lowering the voting age is also widespread across British Columbia. Key endorsements include the Union of BC Municipalities, the BC Teachers Federation, the NDP, the BC Green Party, and 13 municipalities stretching from Vancouver to Victoria. In fact, in 2019, a majority of UBCM members voted actually in favor of this initiative, and in 2021, our very kind neighbors, the North Vancouver City Council, has actually also officially endorsed the initiative of Vote 16 too. So, why is it so important for youth to become engaged in politics? Right now, youth are interested in politics, and in fact, research by Elections Canada has found that 16 and 17 years old are just as interested, if not more interested, in participating in various forms of political activities compared to current voters. Wait, so panel, if this is true, why is it the case that in recent years, Canada has seen a significant decline in youth voter turnout rates, or less youth issues being brought up? And no, it's not the fact that youth are lazy, or too focused on scrolling on their TikToks and phones, but rather a problem with motivation. You see, currently, there's not a whole lot of motivation for youth to stand up and speak about issues they care about when they have no formal say in the political process, when they can't vote, when the policies discussed by politicians simply aren't geared towards the youth. Panel, the world right now needs change more than ever. With the climate crisis, the lack of affordability, geopolitical conflicts, the youth more now than ever are so passionate about these issues. They have so many ideas they wish to bring to the table to create meaningful and tangible change in our world. Yet their passion is so constantly dismissed by politicians and those in power by simply saying, "Oh, you're 16. What do you know about the world?" Dismissed because they can't vote. Dismissed because of their age. Dismissed because of a simple number. And this simple number starts a chain reaction in a toxic negative loop that damages not only their lives, but Canada's democracy and Canada's future. And Research Canada has found that 16 and 17-year-olds right now feel less strongly that voting will actually make a difference, believe that the government does not care what they think, and are less inclined to vote in the future. And a case in point is a federal election that happened in 2021. The voter turnout rate for the 18 to 24-year-old age group was only 47%, while the voter turnout for 65-year-olds to 74-year-olds was a whopping 75%. Now, this huge disparity is evident when we look at the agenda and the discussions that were talked about in that election. When we look at the promises being made that targeted a lot more of the adult and elderly community and not talking about the youth whatsoever. Panel and council, what we're trying to say here is very, very simple. That keeping the voting age at 18 leaves out such a vital demographic of young individuals who are ready, who are eager, and who are informed to vote now. Having the vote allows youth issues to be pushed to the forefront of political discourse and help the youth understand that, you know what, they are important, that their issues do matter, and that they can make the difference they wish to see in the world. And with that, we'll transition in the second part where we'll talk a little bit more about the structural reasons and clear up any misconceptions surrounding the lowering of the voting age. And I just want to note firstly that right now, Vote 16 is not just a national movement happening in Canada, but also a global one. In Canada, as of this moment, 13 municipal councils and school boards have passed motions supporting lowering the voting age down to 16. And globally, more than 17 countries, including Argentina, Germany, Scotland, Finland, and Switzerland, have all enacted laws that allow 16 and 17-year-olds to vote at some level of government. Panel, if there were just one or two cases today, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But these numbers are not just random outliers that fall down from the sky, but the cause of actual structural reasons. And today in our presentation, we hope to present some of the reasons to you guys. First off is that 16-year-olds are equal to adults. On page 2 of the first document, but I just can summarize it really quickly, which is Dr. Streinberg, a world-leading expert in adolescence, found that maturity is reached by 16. And studies have shown that 16 and 17-year-olds are equal to 18-year-olds in their ability to vote responsibly. And this is pretty intuitive, because if we think about it, our government already thinks that 16-year-olds are competent, they're allowed to drive, and potentially cost someone's life, get married, pay taxes, work unlimited work hours, and even be tried for adult crimes. But logically to me, panel, it doesn't make much sense. Panel, wouldn't you agree that we should have at least a say in the things that affect us? Well, issues like student loans will impact us. Climate change will impact us. The housing and evolving job market will impact us the most. And I think it's only fair that those who are affected by these things the most, at the very least, have a voice in the decisions that disproportionately influence and impact their lives. Secondly, is that 16-year-olds actually do make competent voters. And now, many may think, oh, these students are not going to be good voters because they don't know enough. But you don't need to believe me to believe the evidence. Because, again, countries like Austria, like Belgium, and Germany, where their voting age is 16, has evidence that showed that youth vote just as competently as adults. And for those who claim that and just simply say that, oh, the youth are just going to follow their parents' lead and vote however their parents vote, well, Scotland, another country that has lowered their federal voting age to 16, has shown that 40% of young voters cast their ballot differently than their parents. But council, even if they are influenced, adults too are influenced politically by their friends, by their family members, and by celebrity endorsements. And when did voters ever need to prove that they were competent enough? An arbitrary number should never be the benchmark on whether or not one can cast a ballot that can change the direction of our country. The third reason we hope to present today is that lowering the voting age intrinsically to 16 strengthens democracy by amplifying youth voices and boosting voter turnout. Let's look at our neighbors in the United States. In Tacoma Park, Maryland, where the voting age became 16, voter turnout among under 18-year-olds was 4 times higher than any other voter group in that election. We also increased engagement. When we look at Austria, we saw political interest among 16 and 17-year-olds nearly double from 31% to a whopping 62% simply by lowering the voting age down to 16. And
Gentlemen, I've got a little bit of a problem. I'm getting a look over there from our corporate officers. Are you able to wind it up pretty quick?
yeah, I think so.
Okay. You're making a great presentation.
Yeah, thank you. Just really quickly, the last reason we want to present is that you may think that, oh, if 18-year-olds are not voting all that much right now, why will 16-year-olds actually, giving 16-year-olds the ability to vote will actually make a difference? Well, it's because 16-year-olds are actually more likely to vote than 18-year-olds. And this is because of the first voter effect, which is if you vote earlier on and if you vote in your first ever election, you're astronomically more likely to become a lifelong voter that votes in every single election that betters our democracy. And because 16-year-olds live in the same community, they have strong support networks, they still live with their family, they have the same friends, now they can actually have these conversations like, what does it mean to vote? How do I actually vote? Compared to when they're 18, when they're flying around the country, moving around, they have to find new friends, they're not living with their family anymore. It's much more difficult to have these conversations. Great, we're going to wrap up our presentation right now, and for the last part, we just hope to discuss what you wish the West Vancouver Council can help us with. Today, we were just wondering if we had your support. We, alongside so many Canadians, hope that the West Vancouver Council can join the 13 other municipalities that have endorsed lowering the voting age to 16 and request the mayor to write a letter of endorsement to the premier, as well as a provincial minister of municipal affairs informing them of our endorsement. And although youth may only be 30% of our current demographic, they are 100% of our future. So please, Council, don't let a policy of our past dictate our future.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. That was a wonderful presentation, gentlemen. I can just imagine the energy that must be around your family home.
Yeah.
I wonder what your parents did. But I've got to tell you, when I sit and reflect for a moment on what you've said, it was very wise, I think he was very wise, former Mayor Peter Jones, who asked, somehow he got my name, and asked me to serve on a municipal committee when I was 16 years old. And look at that. I mean, really. I think for right now, we have to receive you as a delegation, and then members of council will want to discuss this, and we'll bring it forward in the future. Could I turn it over to Councillor Gambioli?
Okay, he's turning it over to me because I'm the one who's going to thank you. But I'll do a bit more than that, and I'll say that, yeah, I'm impressed with your research and your presentation. I read a research paper yesterday by UNICEF that has also quite extensively studied this in many different countries and comes to the same conclusion as you. And yeah, I'm convinced. I see that you have included some of our counterparts, our neighbors next door, plus Vancouver, Victoria, Vernon, Saanich, etc., as you said. So I support this 100% personally, and I will be happy to bring forward a notice of motion to have our council write a letter, as you suggest, to support this. It depends if I get a seconder on this council to bring forward that motion, but I will say that I'd be happy to do that. And I think our community, those of whom are representing our community here tonight, are probably quite impressed with your presentation and would agree that we should discuss supporting what you've suggested.
Well, thank you so much.
So thank you. So I will recommend that the delegation from Twin Talk Politics regarding youth engagement and Vote 16 initiative from 2 high school students be received for information with thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
Yes, I'll second that, and I wouldn't mind saying a few words myself. I just love your energy, and right now, the campaign's going on right now. We see a lot of young people come out and get involved in campaigns, and my personal passion is to get involved in campaigns when they come around. And the thing I like about it most is when the young folk come out and get involved. And I've worked over the years with people as young as 14 years old. And you watch them, they come out as door knockers, and they're just enthusiastic and keen, and their growth and understanding and maturity towards the issues is just tremendous. And I do agree with you that you're as intelligent as many adults. And I also believe that as much as children can be informed, or youth can be informed and get engaged, and the ones that don't, it's the same with adults, right? There's some of us who are just more interested in this, and likewise. So I love what you're doing, creating attention, creating dialogue, and I'll just second the motion and look forward to talking more.
Thank you so much.
Councillor Thompson. Councillor Watt.
Yeah. So, really fantastic presentation, and, you know, like my colleagues have said, really love your energy, commendable. And I have a but coming. So, you know, my concern with this is not all 16-year-olds are like yourselves. And, you know, one of the biggest arguments against lowering the voting age, of course, is you're not paying taxes, rent, roofs over your head, seeing where, you know, finances go. And I personally believe that, you know, the age should be kept as it is. And some of those countries that are listed, I think, in the staff report, talking about the US having a voting age of 16. Now, I did a bit of research of my own, and that's just a couple of school trustee districts, I believe, and some of the other countries as well, like Finland, Germany, and Switzerland. I didn't see, and I just did a random sampling, I didn't see that they have lowered the age for municipal or federal, and, you know, should they have state or provinces? I could be wrong, I might have missed that. But again, I truly appreciate your energy and what you're doing, and I think that you both have a very bright future, probably in politics, ahead of you.
No, avoid that.
But I am just one lone voice, the voice of doom over here.
Thank you
But
very much.
I think you really presented extremely well, and very mature for your age. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. I don't see any other speakers, so I'm going to call the question. All those in favor? Contrary, carried. Gentlemen, thanks again. We will be in touch.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Item number 4, we have an appeal on the Director of Planning's Services denial of an encroachment. Mr. Bailey, are you making a presentation on this?
Very short, if that's okay.
Very short.
Yep, sure. So just, you know, to give council and the public some background on this, in May of this year, the property owner, he constructed a fence and installed some river rocks on the boulevard without permits. As per your bylaw, fences and river rocks adjacent to the road, they're not permitted. It's generally expected that adjacent landowners landscape the boulevard and look after it, but again, fences are not permitted. Further, anything that's placed or constructed on a boulevard is not allowed to interfere with any district infrastructure or cause sightline issues for traffic. In conversing with my colleagues in land development and engineering services, the fence is built over a water main, so it interferes with access to that, and it also causes sightline issues coming out of the lane and turning onto 20th. So, because of that, staff are not able to approve said fence. There is an appeal process in your boulevard bylaw where if I deny a permit, it can come to council. Council can assess the risk and properly approve the permit. So that's why we're here today. And I will also say, if council does want to consider changing their policies around whether or not fences are allowed, you're also able to do that. I'm not saying that you do that right now, but maybe something in the future. We're seeing increasing amounts of these coming to council and then coming to council and being permitted. So I'm here because I can't approve it. I'm not saying that I would approve it. I'm saying I wouldn't approve it, but you're able to overrule the staff decision and allow for the fence.
Thank you, Mr. Bailey, and we do appreciate your role and how seriously and properly you conduct it. Is there anyone who wishes to address council on this issue this evening other than the owners?
Yes, Mayor Sager, we do have one name on our speakers list. Nancy Beatty, a member of the public, has signed up to address this.
Ms. Beatty, would you like to address council?
I have to sit down, even though I'd rather stand up. I'm short.
Well,
So, Mayor Sager, council, first of all, I'd like to thank you all for serving the District of West Vancouver. I have lived here for 4 decades, and if I could ask you to turn to some of the pictures contained in this section for Agenda 4. If you would look first at page 69 of correspondence, if you don't mind.
we have seen
And
it.
at 30 in the agenda.
Yes.
Are they able to see it? I don't know.
We've all seen it. We've all read the material. Everybody has seen the.
I can't, I'd like them to kind of see as I can explain.
We're going to
No?
try and find some way to put a projector there so that people can.
Oh,
You
wow,
could hold it
because
up to the
it's
camera.
kind of important to see what I'm talking about.
But we have seen it. We have seen what you're talking about.
Oh,
Um,
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Oh, high tech. All right, so this was a submission for me. So I'm Nancy Beatty, and I live at this property here, here, redacted 2047. That's the laneway view of the Gordon Haywood laneway. My whole issue is that this isn't a fence issue. This is a visibility and safety issue. And in fact, the letters and the pictures that I've sent here, I have also sent to the same personnel in the council 6 years ago. So this is not new because of the fence. The fence only exacerbates the situation because as you come out of the laneway, and there's pictures, if you have looked at all the material, you've seen the pictures I sent today, taken yesterday, of how to negotiate in a Camry, which has 6 feet of vehicle in front of the driver. How do you see around a corner? I was very disappointed to read the staff report and see that last year when my neighbors were instructed to trim a hedge, the diagram that was presented to them was ludicrous. It didn't provide visibility out of the laneway whatsoever. And in the short presentation you've just given us, you haven't actually emphasized the safety feature, but rather the boulevard. The fact that this particular property, gee, I wish you could all be looking at it like I am.
I should also say,
yeah,
Ms.
I
Beatty,
understand.
I believe every member of council has actually driven up and seen it as well.
Okay. Oh, good. Okay. So the issue here is not just that it's a boulevard. Yesterday, I walked up 20th Street. Like I say, I've been here 40 years. I've done a lot of walking in the community. And there is no similar situation of any of the 2,000 block laneways.
That's time,
having
ma'am.
Pardon?
Well, we'll let Ms. Beatty finish. If you could wrap up. Unfortunately, we set a 3-minute time limit for.
And all this prep too, But I want to come in with a solution, because obviously in the last 6 years, no matter who's dealing with it on council, in the different sections and staff, it hasn't got done. And the problem is not the fence. The problem is not, it's the definition. What is a hedge? That big picture that I showed you of the cedar hedge on the adjacent property is about 80 years old. And it was trimmed this month by BC Hydro. Nobody on council would suggest that the neighbor next door should have to pay the price of that trimming, which took like half a day. The cedars that are in the laneway adjacent to 955 are the same species of cedar. They cannot be contained on a boulevard. They cannot be contained in a laneway. And now that they've been there for 30 years, there were 84 of them planted around that property when it was built by Paul Goldman. There's no place for them to go. So as much as my neighbors may want to hack away and pick away at the edges of that thing, it can't sustain itself there. My proposal to council was that there be some collaboration, that council, because the people in the laneway do pick up $100,000 together, all 11 households, of property tax, that the municipality, the district, having not solved it in 6 years, now picks up the bill for a chipper and a tree service to take those inappropriate plantings back to the trunk, the same as they have up on 20th Street to the Laurels at, I think, 2055 at a laneway. That you pick up the tab, you get the work done, you disallow the fence, but you don't throw away a fence. That's wasteful. That fence should be in the laneway to protect my neighbor's patio and the one window that's on the side of the house close to the laneway. It's a 21-foot span. It's a 21-foot fence. I see a solution there, and I see that my neighbor, an artist, would have the ability to do like I did, plant something on the other side of the fence. Mine is picket, hers is solid. I want a solution.
Thank you very much.
I have had 4 neighbors live in that house in 30 years, and since they've already announced they're moving into a condo and have pre-purchased, I want it solved before I have a fifth owner and it becomes an irritant.
Thank you very
Why
much.
deal with your neighbors that way?
Thanks very much. Thank you. Mr. Chu, do we have any other speakers?
Pardon me, no other member of the public has signed up to speak to this. We just
Okay.
have the applicants in the gallery.
The applicants, I'm sure, are here and would like the opportunity to speak. I thought it would just be appropriate if you heard the people that might be in opposition first, so you could address their.
I really don't mind.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Unfortunately, you've got the old following the youth, which doesn't make me feel better, but they were quite brilliant.
Weren't they brilliant?
Yes. So I've literally got about a 3-minute talk, so it'll
Thank
be
you.
really brief.
Thank you.
And then my husband will have a word or two afterwards.
Thank you.
So my name is Leslie Hobbs, and I'm going to talk briefly about the item number 4, which is an appeal of the Director in Planning Development Services denial of an encroachment application for our 20-foot length fence at 955 20th Street. Planning and Development in their Agenda 4, Item 4, also mentioned 3 river rocks which were placed by me, this big, on the boulevard to support the catmint that I planted around the hydro pole, which is what impairs visibility, not the fence, the hydro pole. So begin the story, and I say I'll be brief. In May 2023, a portion of the cedar hedge fronting our home at 955 20th Street was cut back by us at a cost of $500. This was after we'd received written instructions to do so from Planning and Development to improve the visibility that the speaker was talking about for drivers from the lane at the side of our house, which the lane runs between 20th and 21st Street. We left this now ugly bare hedge for a year in an attempt to allow it to regrow. Then, on March the 30th this year, I saw a bylaw officer, Amelia Swanser, parked opposite our home while she was supervising work at 920 opposite. I walked across, introduced myself, and mentioned we would like to build a 20-foot length fence to cover the still ugly cedar bare hedge branches. I was told no permit was necessary for such a short length. Amelia remembers the conversation with me on that date, but does not recollect saying the fence did not need a permit. As I had understood Amelia to say no permit was needed, we organised a private contractor to build this fence in early June at a cost to us of $2,400. This fence was soon requested torn down by Development and Planning. As a result of this tear-down order, we subsequently decided to pay the Legislative Services $2,100 to place our case today on the agenda. I also, by email, invited the Mayor and all 6 council members to view it, and we've had the pleasure of meeting 5 of them at our home to view, and Mayor Mark Sager courteously did a drive-by last week. All 6 have been positive with their comments. Lastly, I have here, and I'm not quite sure, maybe Hope will be able to pass it around, a visual aid petition, as I'm an ex-teacher, asking local residents to sign if they wish the fence to remain. Signatures were given mid-August by 26 local residents. Mike, my husband, and I sat on our street for 2 hours getting signatures. Some residents were walking with dogs. The dogs got a treat. Some were cycling, and some were driving by. We also have signed notice from our 3 immediate neighbours here confirming they would like the fence to remain. So please, everyone here tonight, this has been an expensive attempt by us to keep both our property and West Vancouver beautiful. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Ms. Hobbs. Thank you. And Mr. Hobbs, would you like to address council as well? Then we'll proceed to a council discussion.
I'll also try to be brief. First, of course, thank you for considering our appeal for what we perceive as beautification of the street. I think you've all seen the photo of how ugly the hedge looked. We waited a year to see if it improved, but it didn't. The city, when they asked us to trim the fence, you've all seen the photo, but they were very clear in what they considered to be an acceptable sightline. and we made very sure that the fence that we put up, 20 feet of fence, in fact was exactly where they told us to cut it down. So we complied with their sightline requirements, and that was sort of confirmed by the fact that the only objection they had when they turned down our appeal was based on potential interference with services. So we checked with district staff as to what these services were, and at the moment it's just one water line. The fence has been in place now for 5 months or so, and clearly it hasn't interfered with the water line. Sure, there can be other infrastructure requirements that come up in the future, but the bylaw is quite clear that the council, when it issues an encroachment certificate, has the authority to tell you to remove it, whether you got a permit or not. There are 4 posts that hold this short length of fence up. To cut 4 posts is a matter of 10 minutes, and to get rid of the whole fence, the boarding, we estimate take about 2 hours. So if there's ever a need for it, in 2 hours that fence is gone. So the sight lines are okay. The removal of there's no current conflict with the services, and any potential conflict, it can be removed at your choice within 2 hours. So thank you for listening to us. Hope we get what we're coming for.
Thank you, Mr. Hobbs. Any other member of the public? Hearing none, I'll turn it over to members of council. Councillor Cassidy, would you like to lead the discussion on this?
Well, first of all, I suppose I should read the motion. Am I correct on that one? So recommended that all written and oral submissions regarding appeal of Director of Planning and Development Services, denial of an encroachment application for a fence at 955 20th Street, up to and including the council meeting held on September the 23rd, 2024, be received for information.
Is there anything else you wish to add to that motion?
I live in the neighborhood and I drive down 20th frequently, and I must admit at some point in the spring I did drive down the street and said to myself, wow, there's a fence there. And what a good looking fence, I said to myself. I'm sure there's a poem in there somewhere. But anyway, it is a good looking fence, and as they had stated, as the Hobbs had stated, there was the tree cutting which did look unsightly. So if you were to ask me, the fence itself is a decided improvement, and they didn't just build a cedar fence, they built one which is a dark in color, so it's not as obtrusive from the viewing perspective, and is actually very complementary to the look of their house. So I don't have an issue with the retention of the fence.
Do you wish to add that to your motion then?
Yes, I do. Thank you very much.
Mayor Sager, I apologize. There is a separate recommendation. I apologize. Could we just do this recommendation to receive information and then
Certainly.
perhaps make a separate one?
Okay, I'll
Thank
call
you.
a question on that. Contrary, the motion is carried. Thank you, Councillor Cassidy.
It's recommended the decision by staff as designated by the Director of Planning and Development of Services to approve a retention of the fence, the Boulevard encroachment permit for a fence and River Rock fully within the district-owned public land and abutting 955 20th Street be approved.
That's a bit contrary to what I thought you were. I'm confused, Councillor Cassidy.
Well, this is what I got before I
my
left.
understanding from
Approval of the retention of the fence is what I'm stating. The decision by staff as designated by the Director of Planning and Development Services to approve the retention of the fence.
No, their recommendation was to deny, so I think.
I comprehend that, so I have written it incorrectly? What would you like me to say, and I will say it?
Well, I believe what you meant to say is that I think it can be as simple as that the fence be permitted to be retained.
All right, so the property owners be approved to retain the fence
Yes, I think it's as simple as that.
on the public boulevard.
Yes.
Happy with that?
Mhm.
Okay, there you go.
Is there a seconder to that motion? Sorry, Councillor Gambioli?
I just wanted to add that, I realize that staff, need to follow the bylaw and the boulevard bylaw in this case, and boulevard encroachments. We have a lot of boulevard encroachments in this district, and, we've used this legislation a few times, but, what I'm really this is not a great example of what is the real problem. The real problem is that a lot of people are taking the boulevard and planting trees or creating a fence and actually using the boulevard as part of their lawn and part of their yard. And that's the real problem that we still, in my opinion, have to deal with in hundreds of cases of the district. But anyway, our Director of Planning probably doesn't want to go there right now. Anyway, this is a real exception to I think that rule, and because it's technically temporary, and I really do think the owners acted in good faith in this case. So for those reasons, I am going to support Councillor Cassidy's motion.
Thank you. Councillor Watt.
Yeah, and I just want to say, I've certainly seen other examples around the district, of similar, and, I just want to say to the family that I'm really sorry that it cost you money to come here to deal with this matter. And I certainly don't blame staff for that. You were doing your jobs on this one, but I find it really hard to, to support the removal of that fence.
Thank you. Well, the staff were correctly doing their job, and
Yep.
it is from time to time council's role and responsibility to hear appeals, and in this case, I'm going to call the motion. All those in favor?
Mayor Sager, may I
Yes.
read the motion just for absolute clarity?
Yes, please.
So that the boulevard encroachment for a fence and River Rock fully within district-owned public land and abutting 955 20th Street be approved
For retention,
for retention.
just so it's perfectly clear. I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. Your appeal's been approved. Thank you very much. We'll move to the next item, the 2025 sidewalk projects. We have received a full report from our staff outlining the proposed sidewalks for this year, and I think many people will be thrilled to see the list. And there was one letter received from a citizen, and I think it should just be clear that there was a little confusion. Anyway, if that person's watching tonight, this report is not dealing with the same area that person was writing about. Thank you to our director.
Good evening, Mayor and Council and members of the public. Staff have just prepared a brief presentation outlining the recommended projects to proceed with detailed design and pending budget approval, construction in 2026. So with that being said, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Mr. O'Sullivan, Senior Manager of Transportation.
Mr. O'Sullivan, it's great to have you here again this evening. We've seen quite a bit of you this year. Sorry we're taking up your Monday nights.
Great. Thank you very much, Mayor and Council, for this opportunity to talk about our sidewalk program. What we're going to do tonight is start with a brief update on our 2024 sidewalk program, and then I'm going to move into our 2025 sidewalk program. Oh, sorry. So in our 2024 sidewalk program, we had two sidewalks that we were planning on constructing. The first one was on Marine Drive by Cypress Elementary School. But during our detailed design phase, we identified a number of drainage issues. So we talked to our drainage section about the issues, and we decided to delay the construction of the sidewalk along Marine Drive to allow the drainage section to review the issues and develop solutions. And it also allows us now to combine the construction of the drainage solutions with the sidewalk improvements as one project. And right now, we're hoping to do the sidewalk improvements and the drainage improvements in the summer of 2025 on Marine Drive by Cypress Elementary School. The second project we looked at in 2024 was on 19th Street near Memorial Park, just north of Marine Drive. That project didn't have a strong support, And then when we went into the detailed design phase, we realized we would not be able to achieve the goals we meant to achieve with the work. So we decided to shift our focus, and what we're going to do for 19th Street is we're going to use district staff to rehabilitate the existing gravel sidewalk, and we're going to shift, with signage, shift the parking from angle parking to parallel parking. So by doing that, we'll return and rehabilitate that section of 19th Street back to the way it was when it was constructed in 2015. Then this summer, we also focused on Wildwood Lane, and with using district staff, we were able to construct about 300 meters of a crushed gravel walk pathway on the north side of Wildwood Lane, which were completed just before school started, and we've received a number of positive comments about that work. In addition, we use city staff to remove some vegetation and widen and pave a section of the pathway that's behind the concrete barrier on Cross Creek, just south of Tyrell Road. So that removed a pinch point for students that are going to and from Sentinel High School. So we didn't accomplish everything we wanted to do in 2024, but I think we did have a few successes in this year. So now I'm going to shift over to our 2025 program. In June, we presented council with a list of projects or sidewalk segments that had risen to the top of the ranking system. And then we took a second look, or a more detailed look at some of the projects, and identified 2 projects that came to the top that we thought we should advance to the design stage. The first project is Mathers Avenue from 21st to 23rd, and the second project is Mathers Avenue, Burley Drive from 11th to Kings Avenue. So the first project on Mathers Drive from 21st to 23rd is a design project for 2025. And we wanted to look at the 2 blocks, a larger segment for design purposes, so we have consistency for the design through the whole segment. And it also allows us to look at intersection alignments so we don't have offset alignments through the intersection. If you look at 21st Street intersection right now, the center lines are offset by about 1.5 meters to 3/4 of a meter. And that's because the sidewalk has been constructed to the east. So,
sorry. Were you going to move through the slides as well?
Oh, sorry. That makes sense. It would help a lot, wouldn't it? Sorry. There we go. So I'll just jump.
And by the way, thank you very much for that summary of this year's projects. I think really wonderful work done up on Wildwood. I know people up there are really thrilled. I know people on Marine Drive are anxious for the one there, but it makes total sense. And the 19th Street is a very good solution, so thank you.
Thank you. So just jumping back into Mathers from 23rd to 21st for the design, some of the conflicts or difficulties for constructing a sidewalk along that segment is we have a couple of steep driveways on the south side, a couple of steep driveways on the north side. We have, especially on the south side, a fair amount of parking. A lot of residents have created parking pads in front of their property. What I think is going to happen when we move to the design stage, I think we're going to be looking at 2 design options. A lower cost option that will have potentially an impact on parking, and a higher cost option that may actually increase the amount of parking on the south side of Mathers Drive. Then by doing the design stage in 2025, it allows us to develop a more fuller options, which we can then take to the public for information, consultation, and feedback. And then from that, what we want to do is in 2026, look at the actual construction on Mathers from 21st to 22nd. So the second project, oops, forgot to change the slides again. The second project is looking at Mathers Avenue, Burley Drive from 11th Street to Kings Avenue. When we looked at this section, from the highway pedestrian overpass to 11th Avenue, we didn't see many conflicts. It looks like we can build a sidewalk with minimal to no effects. But from the pedestrian overpass looking east towards Kings, we run into a number of conflicts. We have vegetation, we have a ditch, we have great elevation changes between the edge of the road and the adjacent boulevard. We also have encroachments, some significant encroachments from landscaping and fencing, which will make that from constructing a sidewalk from the pedestrian overpass to King Street difficult. But we wanted to look at the whole segment, so we have design consistency for the whole piece, particularly around where the pedestrian overpass comes down and meets Mathers. We want to make sure that we have a way of providing a continuous sidewalk if that's the way we end up going. And also by doing a design for the complete section, as development or redevelopment or construction opportunities come along, we'll know what we need to do to be able to at some point achieve a full sidewalk. So what we're planning to do is do the design for the whole segment, but what we're proposing is construction in 2026 from the pedestrian overpass to 11th Street. This allows us to provide a missing comfortable walking link between the pedestrian overpass and the existing sidewalk on Mathers. And there's a potential opportunity that we could blend this project with the 11th Street Pump Station project to be able to complete it as one project. So as a quick summary, that we want to like to do for 2025 is design work. So Mathers from 21st to 23rd, with an idea of in 2026 constructing 21st to 22nd, and then do design work along Mathers Burley and Burley from 11th to Kings, with the idea of construction in 2026 from the pedestrian overpass to 11th Street. So what we'd like to recommend to council is that they receive the report for information, and that the proposed sideway projects for design be accepted for or supported for 2025.
Mr. O'Sullivan, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Councillor Gambioli?
Oh, yes. It's me. Okay. Okay, I'll make the motion, then I just got a couple of questions or comments. So I will recommend that the council report that you have just presented, titled 2025 Sidewalk Projects from the Senior Manager of Roads and Transportation, dated September 1st, 2024, be received for information, and the proposed sidewalk projects planned for detailed design in 2024-25 be endorsed by council.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert? Thank you. Any discussion, Councillor Gambioli?
So just to say that I think that some of these projects have been sort of endorsed also and come out of conversations with the schools that are nearby. I know you've been heavily involved in those conversations, so it's a safety issue for kids in a lot of these cases.
Yes, yeah, for particularly the Mathers from 21st to 23rd, tying to West Vancouver High School.
Right.
Kids are walking now. They occasionally have to walk on the road because of parked cars and other obstructions.
Right. That's not a safe road to walk on the road on. And I mentioned to Ms. Mahler earlier that the sort of work that we did rapidly on Wildwood Lane that we discussed earlier, I think it's a great example of utilizing the crushed gravel to create a safer pedestrian area that's not quite as complex and costly as concrete, and having to plan so far ahead for capital projects. If we find space that can be utilized to protect pedestrians, I would say it's better to do something than to wait 3 years for it to get in the capital budget to put in a sidewalk. So just to keep that in mind, I think there's a lot of locations where we could do something kind of quickly without much cost that would be of huge benefit, like we've done at Wildwood. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Yes, the Wildwood again was a great success, and I'm assuming with the Burley one, you'll be in discussions with the Baptist Housing Authority about future conditions in front of their facility.
Yes, yeah. As one of the reasons partly why we looked at the Burley section is because of the potential development and that's going on and connecting all the way through.
Thank you very much. And I should just say at the beginning of the meeting, I wanted to highlight some of our meetings. So those of you who stick it out till the end, last week we were at the Union of BC Municipalities, and we had a very successful week. We've got some good news that we'll report at the end of this meeting, just to try and entice you to stay. Any other discussion, Councillor Cassidy?
Thank you very much for the presentation. It was much appreciated. I do understand the Mathers sidewalk, but I did drive this afternoon, the Burley Drive, the Braeside, and so forth, and I'm having difficulty understanding the rationale for putting a sidewalk in there. Because, first of all, it's a very, very quiet area. It's an older area of the community that in due course I can see will be gentrified. But the road is flat, except for you come around the former Inglewood care home there, and it's broad to the sides, gravel and so forth. So the siding itself is very broad, and I just don't see the logic in spending the money in putting a sidewalk there, whether there are other areas in this community which potentially are far more deserving at this point in time.
The section of Burley from the pedestrian overpass towards Kings, there are sections there where it is narrower, where it's narrower than what we'd like for a bus route, two-way bus route. So part of the option selection there was there are locations where pedestrians have to walk on the road, and because it is narrow and is a bus route, there is a potential risk for pedestrians. In addition, there are between the pedestrian overpass and Kings, there are 2 bus stops, and there is a playground, Burley Drive park.
I saw that, yes.
So what we'd like to do is by providing the continuous sidewalk, we get the pedestrians off the road, provide them a distinct and unique separated space from the vehicles. And then we also provide better access to the bus stops and we provide access off the road to the park. And it's, as I was mentioning, is that in the longer term, as more development takes place, it provides a continuous link to essentially to Taylor Way.
Well, I guess we can agree to disagree on this one because I just see there's so many other areas of the district that are in far greater need, but I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I'll call a question. All in favor?
I apologize.
Sir.
Mayor Sager, one member of the public has signed up to speak to this item.
Mr. Schofield?
Mr. John Miller.
Oh, Mr. Miller. Dr. Miller, thanks for joining us this evening. Thanks very much. I couldn't entice you to stay.
Well, 9 o'clock is bad.
I understand. I'm just teasing. It's only 8, though.
Evening, Mayor Sager and Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak once again. John Miller is the name. I just want to speak in support of this recommendation. As Nora Gambioli points out, this is a safety issue for children, but I would suggest it goes beyond that to the health of the general population, because it will encourage more active transport, that of walking. And that extends beyond that to the planetary health, because the more people we can get walking, the less dependency there will be on automobiles and less greenhouse gas production. So I endorse this recommendation because it's on the right track and good principles.
Thanks very much. And I know you're going to stay, aren't you? Because we've got some news you'll be interested in. Good. Any other discussion? I'll call the question. All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried. And I'll move to short-term rental accommodation, item number 5. I'll ask Councillor Watt to lead this, please.
There's quite a bit here as written, or would you like me to read them all out?
I think you should probably read them all out, sorry.
I will indeed. We have nothing but time. I'd like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5356, 2024 be read a first time.
Seconded. Any discussion? Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'd like to recommend that proposed zoning bylaw number 4662, 2010, amendment bylaw number 5356, 2024 be presented at a public hearing on October 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Hall Council Chamber and via electronic communication facilities, WebEx video conferencing software, and that notice be given of the scheduled public hearing.
Thank you. Seconded. Call the question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. This proposed zoning bylaws, ladies and gentlemen, is to, I would suggest, modernize our short-term rental rules in West Vancouver. Councillor Watt.
Yep, and I'll recommend that proposed business bylaw number 4455, 2005, amendment bylaw number 5357, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Seconded. All those in favor? Contrary carried.
And I'll recommend that proposed bylaw notice enforcement bylaw number 4368, 2004, amendment bylaw number 5358, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Call a question. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you.
And I'll recommend that proposed municipal ticket information system implementation bylaw number 4383, 2004, amendment bylaw number 5359, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Seconded. All in favor? Contrary carried. And finally.
Yeah, and finally, that proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334, 2024, amendment bylaw number 5360, 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Seconded. All in favor? Contrary carried. Thanks very much for all of that. And we'll now move to an interim non-medical cannabis retail policy review. And Ms. McGuire, are you going to take us through a brief presentation?
Yeah, I have a short presentation. I'll just pull that up on screen here.
Thank you.
So good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. For consideration tonight is a revised cannabis retail policy along with proposed bylaw amendments to reduce the business license fee for cannabis retail. So just some very brief background. I won't say all the words on all these slides. They're on the agenda for tonight if anybody wants to take a look at the PowerPoint. So Council and the public will recall that in 2018, the federal government legalized recreational cannabis, whereas the licensing for cannabis retail stores is under the authority of the province. And for British Columbia, they regulate retail stores based on the liquor store model. And the slide here does give a summary of application requirements for that licensing, as well as conditions for all stores, noting that ultimately municipalities do retain ultimate land use control for cannabis retail. And this slide just provides a summary of the provincial licensing application process, noting specifically for municipalities, a couple of the requirements are that for cannabis retail stores, that municipalities must conduct public consultation to gather residents' views as part of the referral, as well ultimately prior to the province granting a cannabis license, there is a requirement for a municipality to provide a recommendation of support. So following from the federal legalization of cannabis retail and following review of what other municipalities were doing with respect to cannabis policy, staff came up with some interim policy criteria and in 2021, and we used the West Vancouverite platform to put that interim policy criteria online to conduct broad district-wide consultation. And we included an online survey. And on the bottom right of the pie chart that you can see there, that really provides a summary of the feedback that we received at the time that indicated broad support for the draft criteria that we had developed. So then following that, in May of 2021, Council approved the interim non-medical cannabis retail policy, and the criteria are summarized there in the middle of the slide. That includes a maximum of one store for each key shopping area in West Vancouver, a 100-meter buffer from schools, and an 8-meter maximum frontage for cannabis retail businesses. As well, at the same time, Council also adopted a fees and charges bylaw amendment to introduce a new business license fee of $5,000 for cannabis retail businesses. At the time when Council adopted the policy, Council also directed staff to bring forward in a batch for consideration all cannabis applications received at the time. And at that time, we received 10 temporary use permit applications for cannabis retail across the district in different shopping areas. Ultimately, Council considered all 10 of those applications in December of 2021 and approved 2 of them, the 2 existing businesses that operate in Ambleside and Horseshoe Bay through a temporary use permit for a period of 3 years. So both businesses have operated for over 2 years in those commercial areas, and there are 2 commercial areas that still remain available and eligible for a new cannabis retail business, and that includes Dunderave and the Marine Drive and Taylor Way commercial areas. So in reviewing the policy, we did consult with staff in bylaw enforcement, business licenses, and West Vancouver police staff. And generally speaking, staff didn't have any concern with the proposed or the existing criteria that we use to evaluate applications. As well, in reviewing the operation of the two existing stores, there were no concerns and there were no atypical administration or enforcement costs associated with those. So with that review in mind, the proposed updated cannabis retail policy that's attached to the staff report for council's consideration tonight, it maintains the existing locational criteria, and the only material change that we're proposing to make is to add the Cypress Village area as a potential eligible shopping area once that area develops. And then in terms of the business license fee, as I said, at the time council set the business license fee at $5,000. It's now at $5,100 annually. That's due to incremental increases that have occurred over the past few years. The initial fee, as council will likely be aware, at $5,000 is set significantly higher than other retail businesses in the district. And initially that was set to offset the cost of the policy development, also to provide a fee that was generally consistent with other municipalities, and to offset the potential unknown costs related to enforcement issues for a new type of business. But in reviewing, one thing we reviewed was other Lower Mainland business license fees that for a variety of municipalities. And you can see the range in business license fees there from a low of $125 annually to just under $6,000. So there's a significant variation across municipalities in the Lower Mainland. But really for West Vancouver, what we focused on was the review with staff and the actual cost to the district as far as administration or enforcement costs. And as I said, there were no atypical costs associated with that, and we wouldn't expect that in future. So with that, we are proposing to reduce the annual business license fee to $300 per year, which would better align it with other retail businesses in the district, and that would be similar to what you would expect to pay annually for a liquor store, noting that we've taken a flat fee approach for this type of business just to simplify it. So with that, we are proposing that council approve the updated cannabis retail policy, along with approving the fees and charges bylaw amendment to reduce the business license fee. So that concludes the presentation. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Ms. McGuire. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you. My question is, in adding Cypress Village, I believe that our policy was we would allow up to 4 stores in West Vancouver. And by adding Cypress Village as a consideration, does that mean we'll now allow 5, or just that would be one area we could consider one of the 4?
It would increase the total number of potential stores to 5.
Okay.
I guess one thing to note is that store, if the store was to come forward for Cypress Village, it would have to meet the other criteria within the policy for it to be considered and brought forward. So
Yeah, and I'll just have to say, I do think it is something to be considered up there, but I think it'll be interesting to speak with the owners and see how viable they are and not overburden the market, is my thought.
Thank you. Councillor Thompson, I thought. Councillor Snyder, would you put the motion?
I'm doing that.
Sorry. Councillor Cassidy.
Yes, since we haven't even broken ground on Cypress Village, and who came up with the idea that we needed another store up there? We're rather being ahead of the curve, shall we say.
There wasn't necessarily specifically about Cypress Village. It was just that when we looked at the policy initially, we looked at the key shopping areas for West Vancouver, and with the Cypress Village overall area plan, that is intended to be another key shopping area that would serve that new community in that area. And so it was felt that it was of a similar criteria as when considering the initial commercial areas that were included in the policy.
Thank you.
Councillor Thompson.
Okay, well, I'll put a series of motions onto the floor. I'd like to recommend that interim non-medical cannabis retail policy 0137, as approved on May 31st, 2021, be rescinded, and the proposed cannabis retail policy 0179, attached as Appendix B to the September 3, 2024, is it September 23rd?
September 3rd.
Oh, okay.
The report was drafted on
Okay,
September
sorry.
3rd.
Report titled Interim Non-Medical Cannabis Retail Policy Review be approved.
Thank you. Any discussion? Question? All in favor? Contrary, the motion is carried.
And I'd like to
Councillor Thompson.
thank you. I'd like to recommend the proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5251 2023, amendment bylaw number 5363 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Discussion? Question? All in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Councillor Thompson.
And I'll recommend that proposed fees and charges bylaw number 5334 2024, amendment bylaw 5364 2024 be read a first, second, and third time.
Thank you. Seconded. Discussion? Question? All in favor? Contrary, carried. Item number 7. These are just to rectify or legalize, the zoning for 2 existing stores. Ms. McGuire, do you want to add anything?
I do have 2 short presentations. I'm happy to waive them if council would prefer. If the date was set, we could wait and give a short presentation at that time.
I think
at
we
public
should do
hearing.
that. It's
Sure, no problem.
So I'll ask Councillor Snyder to make the motion.
I'd like to recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5347 2024 be read for a first time.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Thompson, question. All in favor? Contrary, carried. This is just to set a public hearing.
I would also like to recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5347 2024 be presented at a public hearing on October 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Hall, Council Chambers, and via electronic communication facilities, WebEx video conferencing software, and that notice be given of the scheduled public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a seconder?
Second.
Discussion, question, all in favor, contrary, carried, thank you. And very similar motion for number 8 with regards to the store at 6609 Royal Avenue. Councillor Snyder.
Sure. I'd like to recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5339 2024 be read for a first time.
Councillor Thompson, thank you. Any discussion? Question, all in favor, contrary, carried.
And I'd like to recommend that the proposed zoning bylaw number 4662 2010, amendment bylaw number 5339 2024 be presented at a public hearing October 21st, 2024 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Hall, Council Chambers, and via electronic communication facilities, WebEx video conferencing software, and that notice be given of the scheduled public hearing.
Thank you. Is there a seconder? Councillor Thompson. Question, all in favor, contrary, carried. Thank you. Thanks, Ms. McGuire. And now we'll go over to the consent agenda items. Councillor Councillor Cassidy.
Ms. McGuire, before you go, could you please refresh my memory? It's a long summer. Where do we stand on the issue of vaping stores? Are we moving forward with...
Currently, as I understand it, it's not a specific class of store that's defined in the zoning bylaw, so it would be what we would consider a retail store. So it's not, as I understand, with the retail amendments that have been done recently, that wasn't included at the time. Maybe Mr. Bailey could. We can report back just to make sure I'm correct in what I've said.
Please, so it is a matter that we need to address. Yes, because I think that is a matter of urgent importance. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Snyder? Sorry, your microphone's on. I'm going to go to Councillor Gambioli for the consent agenda,
I will
please.
recommend the consent agenda item as follows be approved. Item 12.1 regarding adoption of council meeting minutes.
Thank you. Councillor Watt? Discussion, all in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. So just now we'll turn to reports from the Mayor and Council. Last week, as I mentioned, was the Union of BC Municipalities annual convention, which ran from Monday to Friday. And as part of that, members of Council generously gave of their time, and we had a very extensive number of meetings with provincial ministry and ministers regarding a variety of issues. And I think the highlight for me, and I know that Dr. Miller will be thrilled with this one, we met with Vancouver Coastal Health, and they have confirmed and allowed me to announce publicly that they have acquired the old Capilano Care Center and that they will be coming forward in the very near future to start a consultation process to rebuild a facility there, which is most desperately needed. And we were thrilled, absolutely thrilled with that piece of news. We also had what I would consider an excellent meeting with BC Ferries and look forward to much cooperation with them in the future. And members of the community might be interested to know that we met with the Ministry of Housing staff and outlined with them some of our ideas about how to address the housing needs. And it's a shame the minister wasn't there, but his staff were there, and they were very receptive to our suggestions. We also met with the Minister of Finance's staff, and they were very receptive to our concerns about the some way to defer the costs for utility services as a result of this massive overrun in the wastewater treatment. And I think we got a very fair hearing from them. Of course, all of these things will be subject to whatever happens in this municipal election. And we also, and I know other members of council, I'd invite you all to share your thoughts. We also had what I call my annual meeting with the BC Assessment Authority, because I have a constant complaint that their algorithms do not work in our community and that the assessments are grossly inconsistent across our community. So with that, Councillor Cassidy, which did you enjoy the most?
Well, I better not say what I enjoyed the most, but one of the advantages I feel of going to the UBCM is the fact that it gives your council an opportunity to interact, socially speaking, with their counterparts throughout the Lower Mainland and throughout the province, actually, and also with the various ministers on a social basis. And you know, that frequently is where the deals are done, is when you can get down and have a few laughs together, share a few bits of tidbits, and so that was extremely enjoyable. But life is not all fun. So on Saturday, I joined the group of the Lighthouse Preservation Society. There was myself and I guess about 5 others of my vintage. And then there was 3 young men who joined us. 2 of them were students from UBC in the Department of Education. And one of them was a young man who likes to volunteer. And he showed us that he had an app, which he would go to the app and see where there's volunteer opportunities and what he would like to do. So we spent 4 hours on the Saturday morning, really a collaborative group. We didn't really all know each other, but we pitched in and we hauled out the ivy, holly, and some other plant. I don't know what it is, but definitely it's invasive. And the object of we were on Water Lane, and the object of the exercise, when you're looking at the circumference around the park, is to ensure that these invasive species do not creep into Lighthouse Park. So they do these pulls about 4 times a year, and I got in there because I know the woman, socially speaking, who runs it, and I said, hey, I'll be up for that. That sounds like fun. And by the way, it doesn't look like fun when you start, but when you really get into it, it does. But I took a friend along with me who just moved here from Halifax, and she was so appreciative because she's having trouble making friends. And if you sit at home and you don't have any friends, or your social life is rather dull and boring, a great way to meet new people is to get out and volunteer. So great opportunity, and please look at their website and see whether there's other opportunities to volunteer for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cassidy. Councillor Thompson.
Yeah, I can't agree with you more, actually. The ivy pulls are a really connective way to go, and it's interesting because you show up to them sometimes on rainy days, and half an hour into it, you're just forgetting about the rain and enjoying the good fun. So I'm really glad you're out there. What I wanted to tell you about was I got back to my library board meetings last week, and there's lots of things going on at the library. They're doing a renovation on the mezzanine, which is actually the part when you walk into the library and there's stairs up above. It's kind of this dark, uninviting space, and they've re-envisioned it, and they're going to be opening it up. So I encourage you to go check it out. It looks spectacular, and actually it really highlights these gorgeous architectural beams that are up there that are often lost with the stacks there. But the other exciting thing is tomorrow morning as of 10 o'clock, you can actually go to the library and take out Indigenous language kits. And they come in a backpack, and they look really clever. Ms. Kettler was there as well. We got to look and play around with them. But it's a deck of cards that shows you the various language words. And then they have recording devices and speaking devices. So it just looks like a great way to just kind of get up on a few key words or expand your language. So yeah, as of 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, you can rent them out of borrow them out of the library.
Well, Councillor Thompson, thank you. And I thought you were going to talk about the book reading at the library.
Councillor Lambert attended that.
No.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is the mayor's favorite event. Of course, we had the summer reading club. I thought I talked about this last time.
No, you didn't.
Okay. So
But the library staff do a phenomenal job.
They host a summer reading club every summer, and I think they had about 3,500 participants. And what they do is they invite all the participants to come and get a medal presented by various staff members. I get to go because I'm on the library board, and then they have the mayor there to take pictures with all the kids. I have to say, I have found respect for you. So last week, there was 1,100 people came to get their medals. And there's probably about 6 or 7 different areas you can get the medal. And then they all line up to get their picture with the mayor. And when I finished my duties, I went downstairs, and I think he was on like 996. And he looked as fresh as ever. It was good. And you know, he asks everybody where they're from, and he really gets a sense of where the kids participating are. Maybe you could give us some insights.
Well, no, it was fascinating,
so
and I commend the library staff because
Yeah.
it really encourages young people to read. And if they read so many hours over the summer to get one of these medals, and it really is just wonderful. And yes, there was a lot of photos.
Good.
And I would also just like to add one other comment. Because I was remiss in our meetings this week, I'd like to express our thanks to all of the members of staff who accompanied us and did an excellent job with our meetings with the provincial officials. I know I had one last thing, but that's okay. Anyway, it was a very, very good, busy week. So could I have a motion to receive our reports, please? Moved by Councillor Snyder, seconded by Councillor Lambert. Question, all in favor? Contrary, carried. Thank you. Are there any members of the public with any questions or comments this evening? Hearing none.
Mayor Sager, we do have a few names on our speakers list. I'm not sure if the people are still here. Sydney Sharp and Tom Bowen, and I believe Peter Millen or Jenny Bowen have all signed up to speak. Regarding they didn't sign up for public questions, but rather they wrote beach access 30th, not on agenda. So it would be about that topic.
You're welcome to come and speak to address council if you wish. Ms. Sharp?
Good evening, Mayor Sager and councillors. My name is Sydney Sharp, and I've lived on Proctor Avenue for 25 years. I'm a retired designer and art director. It's been many weeks since this story first ignited public interest. Tonight, I'd like to offer positive solutions to significant opposition that has emerged regarding the proposal to sell the public beach access at 30th Street. The clear-cutting of trees appears to be inevitable if this proposal goes ahead. It would mean demolishing what the public understand to be a park. Indeed, the district sign at the trailhead reads, "Welcome to Altamont Beach Park."
Members of council have seen that sign.
In response, the petition created by a local resident to oppose this proposal has captured 1,733 signatures to date. The wording of the petition reads, "Please help save this beach access. It's the historic forest path down to the water that I believe the public is passionate about protecting."
Thank you, Ms. Sharp. Every member of council has been down and has walked the path.
Yes. We have been assured by Mayor and Council that beach access will be preserved. I have heard this described two different ways. Positioned along the far west side of the property, the first idea was to create a utility corridor, and the second was described as a narrow concrete walkway. Both of these options sounded unacceptable to us. So here's a compromise solution that I wish to offer. Turn the empty lot into additional parkland, or sell it for $5 million with a covenant attached that protects the avenue of trees from removal, leaving the existing path intact. The trees must have been planted there for a reason. Alter the property line slightly to accommodate the encroachments. I believe that Mayor and Council may have the power to do this. And although I see this as a separate issue, I'd like to address the Mayor's point about the Ambleside project that he wants to see completed. How about creating a North Shore fundraiser to win the $1 million or $1.5 million needed to buy the last house on Ambleside? In conclusion, my goal is to retain the historic beach access in its current footprint that provides shade and beauty to our community. It offers an experience that is hard to put into words.
That's time, ma'am.
Just one last 2 sentences?
Sure.
Thank you. It offers an experience that is hard to put into words, but we know that it is highly valued by the public. This is clear. Lastly, from where the West Vancouver seawall ends at 25th Street, there is a constant, gentle stream of people who use Bellevue, Park Lane, Proctor Avenue, Traverse, Radcliffe, and Sunset Lane as their waterfront walking route. The beach access is a highlight of this promenade and a marker of trees where Park Lane meets Proctor Avenue at the top of the hill. I believe that the nature aesthetic of West Vancouver must be upheld. It's what makes living here nothing less than a privilege. It would be a tragedy if this park was destroyed. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Sharp, as I mentioned at the outset of the meeting, there will be a full report coming out. In that, there will be, I believe, quite a history. This property was first offered for sale in 2012 by the council then under Mayor Mike Smith, and it has been actively for sale in different forms since then. And I've also asked, and council tonight has approved the release of our legal opinion with regards to the way the matters have been dealt with. And I do trust that because unfortunately I had the misfortune of reading your social media posts at the beginning of my summer holiday, and frankly, it ruined my holiday. I think it's incredibly unfair to suggest, and I don't know why you did, that the purchasers are friends of mine. They're not. I trust you've taken that down. Any other discussions? Thank you very much. Anyone else wish to address council?
Another name on the list is Tom Bowen.
Mr. Bowen.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. My name is Tom Bowen. I'll just read this.
Certainly, sir.
Okay. It's regarding the park between Proctor Avenue and Park Lane. My name is Tom Bowen. I live at 2531 Ottawa Avenue, West Vancouver. I've been a citizen of West Van for 47 years, and I'm a retired architect. I worked with the Western Community Association to save the Glen Eagles Great Hall from demolition and design build the adjacent Golf Pro Club and Pro Shop and restaurant. I feel we need accessible park space like this existing unique park throughout the municipality. We have acres of grass park in Ambleside, not including the playing fields. Along with the dog park and oceanfront, plus the popular boathouse, ferry building, and other arts amenities, this concentration has led to a major parking problem still to be resolved. Is the intent to sell Proctor Park to put the money towards more park area or to more parking? We should be considering the long-term costs of losing this park come beach access versus just the immediate gain by selling it. There is a world concern to reduce our carbon footprint. One way to help is to reduce the size of our buildings. Families are reducing in size and don't need as big homes. The existing lot adjacent is the same width as the majority of lots along Park Lane. There are many lovely homes on narrow lots, and I'm sure a wonderfully designed home could be built on the existing lot with this park beside it, retaining the trees, which is also sustainable. I just ask, why sell this existing amenity that we own? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bowen. Again, this item will be fully discussed and debated on October 7th. Is there another speaker this evening?
Peter Miller, but I'm not sure that he's still in the gallery. And the last name I haven't.
Peter Miller.
Oh, wonderful. I believe you're Jenny Bowen?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Bowen?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Jenny Bowen. I'm speaking for Peter, who has lost his voice today. And Peter lives at 2600 block of Nelson Avenue. On previous occasions, he has spoken at this microphone as the founding president of the North Shore Heritage Preservation Society, and am now looking at the situation we have here from the point of view of heritage. I would like you to consider the considerable heritage value of this path down to the seashore, which has existed for many years and is beloved by the residents and visitors who use it. When in conversation with anybody using the path or sitting on the beach, one inevitably elicits comments on how delightful and charming this spot is. If at all possible, rather than protect the access to the beach, I'd urge you to preserve this particular access to the beach as a valuable part of West Vancouver's heritage. Thank you.
Thank you. Do wish Mr. Miller speedy recovery. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address council? Hearing none, could I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a seconder? Seconded. All those in favor? Contrary carried. Thank you very much. We will reconvene on October 7th. And gentlemen, again, wonderful job and quite something sticking it out through the whole meeting. Well done.